Hey everybody, Steve here. Just finishing up some pics I took from the U.S. Air Force Museum. These are just some great shots of some crew flight jackets. So guys would get issued these jackets and paint stuff on the back. Usually the bombs denoted the number of missions they'd have been on. You can see they got pretty artistic with these jackets. It's pretty cool. Got a whole row of them there. This is a C-124 Globemaster. They flew those back in the 50s and early 60s. That's the inside of it there. Famous shot of MiG Alley from the Korean War. Kind of getting into the Korean War stuff now. Of course, you got the famous Sabre, F-86 Sabre, which is the plane the U.S. primarily flew over there. And then, of course, they flew against the MiG-15. Now, this particular MiG-15, the pilot defected from North Korea, landed at a U.S. field there in Korea because they had put out all kind of flyers, said, hey, you bring it over here, we're going to pay you $100,000, which is what happened. The guy ended up coming to America and living. That's a cool story. That's the check they paid him with. So I thought that was pretty cool. This next plane, I thought this was cool. This is, he named this after his wife and his 3 daughters. That's his jet that he had painted there, 4 Queens. I thought that was pretty cool. This is a B-52 from the Vietnam era now. This particular one's got some battle damage in it. There's some shrapnel or some flak damage and all, but you can see all the bombs that thing carried. It was pretty, B-52 is pretty impressive, the amount of bombs it can drop. This is a F-100 Super Sabre. Early in the Vietnam War, they used this. This is an A-37. So I flew this, the T-37 in pilot training, and then they put some new engines and strapped some bombs on it. It's a pretty impressive airplane in Vietnam. OV-10's an observation plane. Used those all the way up till about the mid-'80s. That's a nice little Vietnam diorama there. Of course, you got the famous F-4 Phantom, which proves that you could get a brick to fly if you put enough thrust behind it. This particular one, the Red Stars, are planes they shot down. A lot of them are this guy, Robin Olds. If you know any fighter pilot, ask him about Robin Olds, and they'll tell you about him. This guy wrote a pretty good book about it, about his time there in Vietnam and World War II, and it's pretty impressive. So it's a good story. It's a MiG-17. It's what a lot of the guys in Vietnam went up against. This next one's a Sky Raider, Douglas Sky Raider, U.S. ground support aircraft. Big, heavy engines on that one. That's a F-105 Memphis Belle II, which was kind of interesting, named after the World War II bomber. Got a pretty impressive POW display. This is uniforms the guys wore when they were repatriated. It's North Vietnamese outfits here. Of course, they were all kept here at the Hanoi Hilton. There's a little model of it, what it looked like. It was an old French hotel, I believe, that they turned into a prison. Of course, it's a pretty hellish existence. They actually have the plane, if you ever see a YouTube video, those guys flying out of Vietnam being repatriated, they actually have that plane there, the C-141 Starlifter here, which is very, very cool. Looking inside, it's you want to see what pure joy looks like. Look at those guys after they took off out of Vietnam on their way home. It's pretty impressive. So very moving, the whole POW experience and stories and everything else there. We get into the modern age here is F-22 Raptor. You can see those at air shows. Look, this is one of the first Thunderbirds. This was a F-100 Super Sabre, the first Thunderbird performances in that. This is a B-36 Peacemaker, an old Cold War bomber, giant airplane, biggest airplane I think bomber the U.S. has ever made. It's a model of Sputnik. And they had a crew compartment trainer for the space shuttle there that the astronauts would use to train and move around and all the different parts. Of course, they got the flight deck there. There's also a mid-compartment area as well where they would do their experiments and everything else. So as big as the shuttle was, the crew area wasn't all that big. So things would get pretty cozy in there, especially being up for a long time. So a few of the space suits. That's an extra vehicular. This is basically a escape suit. Then we get they have some old presidential airplanes too. They have FDR's plane. You see there, that's the elevator they used to bring him up in his wheelchair up into the plane. They have Truman's old airplane. They have the one from that brought Kennedy back after he was assassinated. And then they've got, of course, you get into the, this is the lifting body from the $6 million man. That was the video of that thing crashing. Not that particular one, but one like it. And then they got one of the Gemini capsules. So great museum. If you ever get a chance to go to Dayton and the Air Force Museum, go check it out. Hope you enjoyed the little walkthrough. Take care.